Vakhtang I or Vakhtang the Wolf Head, of the Chosroid dynasty, was a king of Iberia, natively known as Kartli in the second half of the 5th and first quarter of the 6th century. He led his people, in an ill-fated alliance with the Byzantine Empire, into a lengthy struggle against Sassanid Iranian hegemony, which ended in Vakhtang's defeat and weakening of the Kingdom of Iberia. Tradition also ascribes him reorganization of the Georgian Orthodox Church and foundation of Tbilisi, Georgia's modern capital. Dating Vakhtang's reign is problematic. Professor Ivan Ajavakishvili assigns to Vakhtang's rule the dates c. 449 to 502 and Professor Cyril Tumanov the dates c. 447 to 522. Furthermore, Tumanov identifies Vakhtang with the Iberian king Gurgenes known from Procopius' wars at Justinian. Vakhtang is a subject of the 8th or 11th century Vita attributed to Wansha, which intertwines history and legend into an epic narrative, hyperbolizing Vakhtang's personality and biography. This literary work has been a primary source of Vakhtang's image as an example warrior king and statesman, which has preserved in popular memory to this day. He emerged as one of the most popular figures in Georgia's history already in the Middle Ages and has been canonized by the Georgian Orthodox Church as the holy and right-believing King Vakhtang and is commemorated on November 30th. Name: according to the life of Vakhtang Gorgazali, the king was given at his birth an Iranian name Varaz Khosruvtang, rendered in Georgian as Vakhtang. The name may indeed be derived from Iranian *warx tang, wolf-bodied, a possible reflection of the wolf cult in ancient Georgia. Beginning in the late 13th century, numerous Georgian princes and kings took the name Vakhtang. Tumanov observes that the name Vakhtang has no classical equivalent and infers that the king's sobriquet Gorgazal, given to Vakhtang because of the shape of the helmet he wore, was rendered by the 6th century Roman historian Procopius as Gurgenes. Tumanov's identification of Vakhtang with Gurgenes has not been universally accepted. Early reign. Beyond the life of Vakhtang Gorgazali, the medieval Georgian sources mention Vakhtang only briefly, yet with respect rarely afforded to the pre-Bagratid Georgian monarchs. Notwithstanding its semi-legendary epic character, the LVG provides many important details, which can be combined with the sources closer to the period in question, such as Lazarus of Parpi and Procopius. Vakhtang is reported by the LVG to have succeeded at the age of 7 his father King Midate. His mother, a Christianized Persian Sagduct, assumed regency in Vakhtang's minority. The author then describes the grave situation in which Iberia was at that time, troubled by the Sassanids' Zoroastrianizing efforts and a ravaging raid by the Ossetians from the north. This letter being a possible reference to the invasion by the Huns through the Caspian Gates mentioned by Priscus. At the age of 16, Vakhtang is said to have led a victorious retaliatory war against the Ossetians, winning a single combat against the enemy's giant and relieving his sister Miranduct from captivity. At the age of 19, Vakhtang married Balanduct, daughter of the great king Hormizd. Soon, upon the great king's request, Vakhtang took part in the campaign in India, probably in Perez's abortive expedition against the Hephthalites in the 460s, and against the Roman Empire in 472, in which Vakhtang is reported to have gained control of Igri Sea and Abkhazia. Church affairs. Returning to Iberia, Vakhtang took up a series of measures aimed at strengthening the royal authority, resenting Iranian encroachments on his independence. Vakhtang reversed his political orientation and effected a rapprochement with the Roman government. He married Helena, daughter of Emperor Zeno, and received permission from Constantinople to elevate the head of the Church of Iberia, the Bishop of Mtsk to the rank of Catholicos, which he sent, together with newly appointed 12 bishops, to be consecrated at Antioch. These rearrangements did not pass smoothly, and the king had to overcome opposition, especially in the person of Mikhail, the deposed bishop of Mtsk-Heta. Javakishvili explains this conflict on account of doctrinal differences between the monophysite Vakhtang and diophysite Mikhail, a presumption supported by Tumanov, who points out that the change of prelate and his subordination to Antioch could only imply acceptance of Zeno's formulary of faith, i.e., the moderately monophysite Heretican of 482. War with Iran. By espousing pro-Roman policy, Vakhtang further alienated his nobles, who sought Iranian support against the king's encroachments on their autonomy. In 482, Vakhtang put to death his most influential vassal, Vasgan Vitaxar of Gagarin, a convert to Zoroastrianism and a champion of Iran's influence in the Caucasus, who had executed his Christian wife, Shushanik, daughter of the Armenian Mamakonid Prince Vardan II and a hero of the earliest surviving piece of Georgian literature. By this act, Vakhtang placed himself in open confrontation with his Iranian suzerain. Vakhtang called on the Armenian princes and the Huns for cooperation. After some hesitation, the Armenians under Vardan's nephew Vahan Mamakonian joined forces with Vakhtang. The allies were routed and Iberia was ravaged by Iranian punitive expeditions in 483 and 484, forcing Vakhtang into flight to Roman-controlled Lazica. After Perez's death in the war with the Hephthalites in 484, his successor Balash re-established peace in the Caucasus. Vakhtang was able to resume his reign in Iberia, but did not betray his pro-Roman line. Once the 100 Years' peace between Iran and Rome collapsed, Kavad I of the Sassanids summoned Vakhtang as a vassal to join in a new campaign against Rome. Vakhtang refused, provoking an Iranian invasion of his kingdom. Then about 60, he had to spend the last years of his life in war and exile, fruitlessly appealing for the Roman aid. The chronology of this period is confused, but by 518 an Iranian viceroy had been installed at the Iberian town of Tiflis, founded, according to Georgian tradition, by Vakhtang and designated as the country's future capital. According to the LVG, Vakhtang died fighting an Iranian invading army at the hands of his renegade slave who shot him through an armpit defect of his armor. The wounded king was transported to his castle at Ujama where he died and was interred at the cathedral in Mtsk-Heta. Javakishvili puts Vakhtang's death at c. 502. If Tumanov's identification of Procopius Sigurgenes with Vakhtang is true, the king might have ended his reign in 522 by taking refuge in Lazica, where he possibly died around the same time. Gurgenes' family members, Baranius, Pacorus, and Phasas, had careers in the Roman military family. According to the LVG, Vakhtang was survived by 3 sons. Dachi, Vakhtang's eldest son by his first marriage to the Iranian princess Balandukt, succeeded him as king of Iberia and had to return to Iranian allegiance. 2 younger sons by Vakhtang's second marriage to the Roman lady Helene, Leon and Midate, were and Thoft of the southwestern Iberian provinces of Klarjeta and Javakitai, in which Leon's progeny, the Garamids, traditionally followed pro-Roman orientation. Both these lines survived in Iberia into the 8th century, being succeeded by their energetic cousins of the Bagratid family. Tumanov has inferred that the Samanazush, a name of the Iberian king, found in John Malale's list of rulers contemporary with Justinian and reported by Theophanes the Confessor and Georgios Kedrenis to have visited Constantinople in 535, might have been a corruption of words meaning brother of Dachi, and so perhaps refers to Midate, Wual of Vakhtang. Before his death, the wounded king Vakhtang left Bawal to his son Dachi and to the Georgians. He also called on Georgians not to abandon ties with the Byzantine Empire. Legacy. Vakhtang entered a pantheon of Georgian historical heroes already in the Middle Ages. A royal oriflamme of the Georgian Bagratids was known as Gorgazliani, i.e., of Gorgazali. It is sometimes supposed to be the earliest model of the current Georgian national flag. In popular memory, his image has acquired a legendary and romantic facade. Vakhtang is a subject of several folk poems and legends, extolling the king's perceived greatness, enormous physical strength, courage and devoutness to Christianity. Vakhtang has been credited with foundation of several towns, castles, and monasteries across Georgia, including the nation's capital Tbilisi, where a street and a square bear his name, and a 1967 monument by the sculptor El Gujaramashukeli tops the Metiki cliff. A legend has it that when King Vakhtang was in the forest, his falcon chased a pheasant. The bird fell into a hot water spring and the king and his servants saw the steam come out of the water. Surprised by the abundance of hot water, Vakhtang gave orders to build a city on this site and named it Tbilisi, that is, the site of warm springs. Vakhtang was officially included in the Georgian Orthodox calendar, and a church built in his honor in the city of Rustavi, early in the 1990s. But he had presumably been considered a saint long before that. The Vakhtang Gorgazal Order, created in 1992, is one of the highest military decorations in Georgia.